We got a major article from Variety that really does give us a look at the future of DC games and the Arkham Universe. The article title is Inside Warner Bros. Games' Big Live Service Push and Doubling Down on DC, Game of Thrones and more franchises by Jennifer Mars. When being compared to the likes of EA and Ubisoft and Nintendo, Warner Bros. Games has managed comparable operating margin and is punching above their weight thanks to 4 IPs the company values at $1 billion apiece in the gaming world: Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC and Mortal Kombat. David Haddad, the president of Warner Bros. Interactive, tells Variety that their franchises are so important, and I quote, "There's a unique and important role games have in keeping our franchises relevant, resonant and exciting because there's plenty of fans and plenty of people consuming content where games are their starting point." And he also talks about how gaming and the gaming industry is such a great investment opportunity. And the Warner Bros. Discovery CEO of global streaming and gaming, JB Perrett, tells Variety the key to topping those numbers is figuring out a way to make prized IP more than just one great hit every 3 or 4 years, and the way to do that is through gaming. We want it to be always on, and the good news is the gaming space is lending itself to that, Perrett says. The article reads that the exec is referring to the success of big franchises have seen recently in offering not just splashy console and PC video games, but also live services, mobile and free-to-play titles, all within the same IP universe. Perrett says that the combination is what he's looking to build out for each of Warner Brothers' most valued franchises, but warns gaming titles are on a long cycle and this plan can't be delivered on in 2024. Because the development times of games is so long, something that take about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus years to develop such a great title. It's almost like we're going to be seeing the vision of these current plans when the PS6 generation is starting. Now, specifically talking about DC games, when it comes to expanding the DC focused gaming offerings, Perrett and Haddad will be looking to new DC studio chiefs James Gunn and Peter Safran, who have announced plans to incorporate video games into their revamped canon moving forward. It just goes to show again that James Gunn is in true control of the DC universe and the Arkham universe. Frankly, there hasn't been as close a relationship between the studio and the games business as there should have been, and James is actually a gamer, so having someone who's passionate about it is super helpful, Perrett says, adding that Warner Bros. Games is actively working with Gunn and Safran on the core franchises within the DC universe, and the core franchises are Superman, Wonder Woman and the Batman. So there's no doubt that there are massive conversations that are being had over at Warner Bros. Games about developing Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman and perhaps even a Justice League game sometime in the future, and how it would fit into James Gunn's plans. We also had this Twitter user ask James Gunn, "Hey James, is the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will be the final game for Arkham Universe?" James Gunn replied, "No plans of it being the last." So James Gunn himself has said that the Arkham Universe is not dead. It's going to continue, and it's going to continue past Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Now, I still think that this means that they could reboot the universe, but having those events still canon because of multiverses and parallel dimensions. And I haven't played Kill the Justice League, so I don't know whether some of the Justice League members die or not, but I have heard that there's a Elseworld Joker coming in the DLC, so maybe they can bring in an Elseworld Batman to now fill in the role of the Batman in this new Arkham universe, or reboot the Arkham universe, still being the Arkham universe but now with a new background and lore, and starting from fresh while recognizing the old universe. The Variety article also mentioned that they won't be making a Superman game just because the Superman movie is coming out, or they won't be making a Batman game just to coincide with a Batman movie. They're going to do what's right for the gamers, and we know gamers have been asking for a Superman game for a long time, and we want the return of the Batman Arkham games. In regards to letting outside developers develop games for the DC universe and Game of Thrones, Haddad said that you've seen multiple studios try to bring it in-house and realize it's really hard to develop those AAA games and make big blockbusters, so why not just license my IP and have someone who is already good at doing it do it. I would say that there's not one single model that's successful. The question is, Do you want to build that core capability within your own organization? Creating high quality games is a very different business than creating a television series or movie series, and it takes a whole different team. But Warner Brothers Discovery is clearly doubling down on its internal efforts with its long-term plans to grow through live games, mobile games, and more selective console releases. So it seems like Warner Brothers won't be outsourcing any of their IPs to different studios. However, they do recognize that it is one strategy and it might be something they may look towards in the future, but they really want to develop their own developing teams and let them be good enough to create massive blockbusters for Warner Brothers games, rather than lending out the IP to a PlayStation and having an Insomniac make a Batman game, just for an example, which in my opinion I think is also a good idea. It wasn't too long ago, just last year or the year before, that it seemed like Warner Brothers Discovery was going to sell WB Games, and the plan was then going to be license out the IPs to different studios who want to make a DC game. But now from what David Haddad is saying, it seems the plan is to keep it internal, and they have James Gunn focusing on the DC universe, not just in TV and films but also in gaming. So what does this all mean for the Arkham Reboot, the next Arkham game? Well, the decision is going to come from James Gunn, who's already confirmed that the Arkham universe is not dead, and Warner Brothers really want to focus on the core DC characters being Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. And we already know that a Wonder Woman game is already in development by Monolith Studios, who created the Shadow of War games, and hopefully very soon we'll get an announcement of a Superman game and the next Batman Arkham game. Teasers for the future of the Arkham universe will come likely from the Suicide Squad game, whether it be the game's endgame or likely its DLC content. If in fact Kevin Conroy's Batman has died in the Suicide Squad game, then it's likely that we may get a Flashpoint kind of sequence either at the end of the game or the DLC, or bring in a Batman from the Elseworlds and have him fill the role, or James Gunn may decide to soft reboot the Arkham universe and likely have it connected to the upcoming Wonder Woman game and hopefully the future potential Superman game and the rest of the upcoming DC games. It was also reported by IGN recently that James Gunn was asked whether it will be a requirement for all Warner Brothers games to be set in his upcoming DC film universe, to which he replied no, which again means it can be canon to the DC films universe through the multiverse and through the alternate realities, yet the game could have a completely different Batman separate to the movies to continue the Arkham legacy. Also, because Suicide Squad is a live service game and Warner Brothers really do want to get involved in the live service market, I think they should take some pointers from Ubisoft on what they achieve with their Assassin's Creed games, as they are open world titles, they're single player titles. However, you can buy microtransactions for cosmetics, there is free seasonal updates, free seasonal content, and then there's the paid DLC expansions, and the games kind of act as a live service single player game for around 2 to 3 years. I think this would be a better approach than making games like the Suicide Squad. However, I don't know how well the Suicide Squad is going to perform, but I know I would much rather have single player games with deep rich narratives for the characters that I love. The good news is that James Gunn does listen to the fans, and he's in control of the DC universe and the DC gaming universe, and he knows that fans want the Arkham universe to live on and want to see a Superman game and more Batman games. But this was a very insightful update from Variety, and it's really nice to get the update that Warner Brothers really want to get ahead in the gaming space and are willing to make a massive investment in the gaming space. But don't expect any major announcements for upcoming DC games in 2024, but I hope we get some more behind the scenes update and James Gunn gives us more details about what's coming up and what his plans are for the gaming universe. Guys, please leave a like on this video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, God bless. Go ahead and check out my Spider-Man videos, my previous Batman Arkham video, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Take care, guys.
I work hard each and every day. I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build